parking crunch in Chicago. And it's made even worse when some abuse the system using disabled parking spaces when they're not entitled to them. Pam Zeckman showed us those problems in March, and the city promised to crack down. But tonight, it seems, we're still waiting. Here's Pam's report.
Since our reports last March, city workers have been ordered to remove 135 disabled parking signs because, as we disclosed, people have moved, died, or shouldn't have gotten them in the first place, like State Representative Lou Jones. Because she has other accessible parking in the back of this home, a 4-car garage, she should not have been given the disabled spot in front. Now the signs are gone. So are the signs to reserve a spot for this man, who also has a garage. But a promised citywide review of more than 8,000 disabled parking spots has not begun. That's because the City Revenue Department now says those records on paper have to be transferred to computers so a mass mailing can be done.
Once they respond, we will consider their response and look at whether or not we should move to remove the signs or whether in fact they are justified.
She says applications will also be revised to ask more detailed questions, and she wants more rigorous site inspections and interviews with applicants.
To get the people that are in fact trying to abuse the system.
To make matters worse, people who've called the Revenue Department to report abuses say they've gotten a runaround, like Denise and Lou D'Antonio. They say a clerk told them there's only one way to get a sign put up or removed.
That I had to go through my alderman.
That is not what they should be told.
But told that, the D'Antonios went to their alderman's office for help.
It's becoming a big issue in this neighborhood because I think people are using these signs for reserved parking rather than what they were meant for.
And I just don't think it's fair. Not when I know there are people that truly, truly need it.
They believe their neighbor, Eugene Lonak, doesn't need one. Lonak's application to the city says diabetes makes it difficult for him to walk long distances. But the D'Antonios took these pictures of Lonak working in the yard and walking in the neighborhood. And besides, he has a garage. But Lonak says his neighbors are wrong.
They just don't like me.
The city ordinance says you're not entitled to that parking spot because you have a garage.
I just put in an application. If they don't want me to have it, well, just say so.
Today, the city removed the sign. Reaction?
Okay, my response is that I want to obey the law to 100%, but it's going to have to be done for everybody in the city, not just me.
Everybody, like the fireman who got a reserved spot in front of his house, one of 3 on the block. How come a fireman, an able-bodied fireman, gets a handicapped parking spot?
Well, the other people on the block that have got handicapped spots were also city workers.
The fireman's wife claims the spot is needed for the handicapped bus that sometimes drops off their disabled nephew after school. Does he live with you full-time?
No.
And for that reason, the city said today the signs will go.
It should be a permanent resident of the property. That's what the ordinance states.
The city's new revenue director now promises that within 3 months, the computer software will be in place to begin that citywide crackdown. In the meantime, she's memoing the staff to make sure citizen complaints are acted on. Carol?
Can we rewind back to that woman saying that if they have one, there are other city workers who have ones also? Do we know the proportion of city workers who aren't disabled with disabled spaces?
We don't know how many there are, but that particular ward does have a lot of city workers living there. Now, they may have relatives living with them that are disabled that legitimately need the spots. But the abuses here are tremendous, and I have a bet going with the revenue director on how many they're going to find that should be removed. I'm not going to tell you what till we find out if I'm right.
Well, we'll just wait for you to come back later. Thanks, Pam.